Day 3. Worldly. Ramesh placed the ornate sugar pot on the tray and turned the handle of the fine china cup to 90 degrees as a final touch. He scanned the tray, going through the list in his mind, hoping he hadn't forgotten anything. Even the coffee was complicated. Everything rattled threateningly as he wound his way up the stone steps from the kitchen. He worked his legs whilst trying to keep his upper body as still as possible. Along the tiled hallway, ducking under the heavy velvet curtains, into the cloying heat and perfume of the parlour. Lawrence Bourdain, the 14th Earl, was stretched out on the couch under the window. A book lay open on his lap, but he was gazing outside, turning a string from his dressing gown with one finger. Ramesh paused. The Earl didn't move or make a sound. There was only one flat surface in the room that wasn't occupied by trinkets, souvenirs, books or papers, a lion-legged table right next to Ramesh, so he decided to put it there. The tray hadn't even touched it before the Earl spoke.
"Shan't be able to reach it there now, shall I?"
He was still looking out of the window. "No, sir, sorry, sir." Ramesh moved to the couch. The Earl was still looking outside.
"There are far too many cars nowadays," he said. "When I came here as a boy, you'd see a handful at most. Now they're everywhere."
Ramesh didn't know what to do. He hated when things weren't explained properly. This was something else he was going to have to learn the hard way. And then the Earl sighed and looked up at Ramesh. But he was smiling.
"You know, where you're from, people drink on the floor. Well, tea. I found it to be most fun. Let's try it."
Ramesh was from Wandsworth and sat on IKEA chairs like everyone else. But Lawrence looked at him, apparently waiting for him to take the lead. Ramesh looked around at the floor. It all looked equally uncomfortable. He saw he was standing on the edge of a round rug with concentric circles rippling out from the centre. Placing the tray in the middle, he lowered himself onto all fours and swung his legs around beside him, facing the Earl. Surprisingly, the Earl lowered himself straight into a cross-legged position, levering his legs outwards from the ankles.
"I'll be mother."
He took up the coffee pot and poured into the single cup, raising the pot higher as the cup filled. He placed the cup on the rug in front of Ramesh and leaned to his right to retrieve an orange-brown ceramic beaker from one of the assorted piles. "No, sir," Ramesh protested, but the Earl seemed not to hear him as he blew dust out of the cup.
"This was made by an Aborigine in Western Australia. You know, in our winter, their summer, gets so hot out in the bush that they make their pottery after dusk and leave it out in the sun the next day. By the following evening, it's baked well enough for them to use."
"I didn't know that," said Ramesh, feeling obvious.
"Oh yes, terrible drinkers."
The Earl opened the sugar dish and scooped 4 heaped spoons into his coffee. He returned the spoon to the dish.
"Haven't we something to stir with, young man?"
Ramesh knew he'd forgotten something.
"Never fear. Adopt, adapt and improve."
The Earl stuck his finger into his rough-hewn mug and swirled it around. He even tapped it on the rim afterwards. "Sir, didn't that hurt?"
"What? Oh, this."
The old man pointed at himself.
"Do you see that copper mask over there?"
He swiveled his stirring finger over to a green face leaning back in a bookcase. Its hollow eyes were opened in shock and its mouth turned down in a pouting frown.
"I took that from the leader of a tribe on St. Kitts. My God, he didn't want me to have it."
He chuckled, eyebrows raised at Ramesh. "Ah. My apologies, sir, but what has that got to do with you burning your finger?"
"Well, I'd offered the stubborn fool everything I could think of. Money, rum, I even offered to take him with us, if he'd just let me have the mask. They're believed to carry such potency."
He drifted away for a moment.
Anyway, he said I could have it if I left and never returned. "Thumping good deal," I said, at which point the sly bugger tossed it onto a lava flow, a bloody lava flow. So...
The Earl picked up the coffee pot again, but this time by its wide metal base.
"Haven't been much bothered by a little heat since."
Ramesh cast his eyes around the room. The number of staffs and skulls and paintings and crockery was equalled only by their variety. He imagined half the museums in the country would find something of interest in the room. The Earl enjoyed watching those thoughts go through Ramesh's mind.
"Why did you take this job, young man?"
"I'm going to university next year, sir, to study anthropology. When I saw your ad, I remembered your name was on the required reading list." The old man really enjoyed that. "I thought I might be able to learn something from you before I start my studies."
"Well, I'm flattered," said the Earl. "What would you like to know?"
Ramesh thought for a moment. Now he had the chance. He didn't know what to ask. "I suppose I'd like to know, what don't we know? Where have we not explored?"
"Oh, I'm sorry, son."
The Earl's smile had gone.
"You're much too late for that. We've already been everywhere, gathered everything.